Hello everyone, I'm Mike D'Angelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your retro review of Ninja Gaiden by Tecmo. One of the things that old school gamers will tend to look back on fondly at is the difficulty of their old titles. Whether it was a run and gun game like Contra or a beat 'em up like Bad Dudes, the difficulty wasn't abhorred, but commended. It hasn't been until recently with games like Spelunky, Donkey Kong Country Returns, and Dark Souls that the challenge has returned to our games. In retrospect, nothing was quite as hard or as unforgiving as gaming in the 1980s. You need only look at games like Castlevania or even Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels to really see that it's still a lot easier today than it was so many years ago. Ninja Gaiden could definitely be a representative for old school, but was the challenge all that it was good for, or was it a game that was worthy of its own merits? Ninja Gaiden actually has a pretty elaborate plot for a game that was released in the 1980s. Ryu Hayabusa seeks his father's murderer in a quest for vengeance, but the story opens up into a worldwide event that only he can stop. Ryu travels to America, where he meets Walter, who explains the significance of a set of demon statues, and how they relate to the impending end of the world. The story continues in between levels, with Ryu going on to work beside the CIA to find a mysterious ancient temple, where the world-ending ritual is supposed to take place. Twists and turns in the plot were pretty surprising for the time as well. Ninja Gaiden bears a good amount of similarities to Castlevania, to the point where you might think that they were made by the same developer. From the level layouts, where you have to move about on different scrolling screens, to the breakable floating objects, you can definitely see the resemblance. The big difference is that in Ninja Gaiden, you're slashing at birds and flies with a sword rather than whipping candles off the walls. Those breakable items and creatures will net you spiritual strength that you can consume with the use of several sub-weapons, like ninja throwing stars, different colored throwing stars, or my personal favorite, the jumpy, slashy Wheel of Death. Just like the vampire hunting game, the real difficulty isn't in fending off the bosses, in Ninja Gaiden the so-called Malice 4. The challenge is in reaching them. While enemies won't necessarily outlast you, they will cause problems for you on the uneven, dangerous ground. You see, Ninja Gaiden is as much parkour as it is run and slash. As Ryu races through the various levels, he's presented with more pits than any other game character alive. On the bright side, if and when you do fall into one of those pits, you've at least got a decent view on the way down. Ninja Gaiden's style exudes personality. Every level looks like it was painstakingly designed with a team of 8-bit artists that truly enjoyed their jobs. While the enemies are typically reused over and over, the world itself always seems to relish in giving players a breath of fresh air. The music, too, is of value. Well aware of its character and its story, the soundtrack is full of peppy, energetic beats, tunes that are sure to get you to want to charge forth like only Ryu would. The stylized cutscenes are a little more reserved, but even then you end up with some great tracks that are still catchy to this day. If for some reason the graphics of a 25-year-old game still isn't quite enough to satisfy, you can always go for something a little younger. All three of the first Ninja Gaiden games for the NES were bundled together for the Super Nintendo in 1995. It's of course gone on to spawn multiple hard-as-nails new games across the last few generations of gaming, and it even had a novelization at some point, which made some questionable choices, like removing Ryu's kunai from the cover, making him look like a ninja bro saying, "Yo dude, this game is awesome, pound it." There's a reason that Ninja Gaiden is remembered so fondly. Beyond the challenge that can have you pulling your hair out, it made great choices in visuals and sound, had very intelligently designed levels, and a very well-structured story. If the worst thing that the game had going for it was that you had to be wary of pits that were in the area, I'd say that's not too bad. A little bit of foresight goes a long way in this Tecmo classic, which still has some life in it.